Hey, in a previous video titled Healing is a Fluid Linear Process, you can see that video here. I talk about three specific containers: financial, material, relational. And if you're on a spiritual healing or personal development journey, you often end up feeling isolated and unable to connect with the typical goings on of society. That's because your body has reached its limit in the survival game, yet you can't exit the game. You're still active in it. But how can you ground yourself in an experience you no longer feel is meeting the bigger need and serving the larger context of your desired intention? This is the crossroads many of you are at right now. But this is also where the wellness industry, the medical industry, the educational industry, the news and entertainment industry come in and offer you another dose of hope on a stick. Many of you often collapse and comply with the conditions of this hope, only to find yourself back in despair again. And if you get to a point where you can see the hope and despair loop for what it is without your personal emotional fog, then you're ready to hear this message. You're ready to face the existential despair without anesthetizing yourself with hope or some action plan within systems that are using your energy against you. This doesn't mean that hope is bad or that despair is worse. It means you are ready and willing to be honest about your emotional state and how your survival mind is forcing you into avoidance, condescension, deflection, and delayed honesty. This means you are ready to feel your grief without numbing yourself. You are ready to see how the energetic math of this planet really works. When the math shows itself this clearly, the grief no longer has the texture of hopelessness, but of clear precision and accuracy. Here's what's unmistakably clear at the edge of this kind of grief. You realize how you are in direct collaboration with the collective field. And this is what many of you are calling the universe, the world at large. It's an energetic field. Your unmet longings, your disappointments, your setbacks offer you the awareness that something needs to change in this collaboration. So you utilize tools available to assist in actualizing this change, like therapy, cognitive therapy, somatic practices, personalized rituals, astrology, and so many other tools. Yet, as you clean your inner world, your perception, and the terrain around you, the collective field with which you're collaborating pours its survival mess back into your vortex, back into your aura, back into your field. Why? Because that's the inherent architecture of this planet. It's not a trick. It's not an institutionalized test. The field right now operates on extraction. It's like maintaining clarity inside a room with a cracked ceiling. You can mop the floor, clean the walls perfectly, but the dust keeps falling because the crack was engineered that way. And as a result, cleaning and maintaining become equally exhausting. Therefore, exhaustion is what you are really here to experience. Then, this exhaustion leaves you in a frustrating situation. The precision you gain from cleaning and the frameworks you build from maintaining begin to feel like hypervigilance, mainly because nothing meets you cleanly in it. You're holding a clean current while surrounded by a grid that only knows how to pull, extract, confuse, delay, and loop things back into exhaustion. So your physical body feels the pressure. And some of you may call this ascension symptoms, sensations that can't be medically explained, of maintaining an internal rhythm that the external field can't sustain in real time. Therefore, the hypervigilance is more of a density mismatch. and it leaves you questioning the validity of this collaboration. It feels one-sided, and the exact trickery and testing that I just said it wasn't. Stay with me here. As a result, the not knowing when the math will start mathing within this collaboration is the delay that's built into this plane that has been engineered to be slow by default. It's an always lagging processor trying to render a level of coherence it wasn't meant to hold in real time. Let's get practical, and you can do your own research on this, but this field is so lagged that at sunrise, when you're seeing the sun, you're seeing it 8 minutes after it's been shining on your perspective side of the world. It's an 8-minute delay. Hoping and wishing, as the survival mind has been trained to do, feel distorted here because the architecture reroutes hope into survival delays. Then dreaming gets co-opted into enduring the delays. Yet, you're not meant to collapse, but you're also not meant to pretend this environment can give you what it cannot give you yet. And this is the pointlessness, the meaninglessness, the hopelessness that is heavy on this planet right now. You feel damned if you do and damned if you don't. And what you're feeling, what you're really feeling, is the tension between internal coherence, which is the fast, clean, rhythmic thing, and the current external reality, which is slow and recycled, exhaustion-coded stuff. And no, this tension doesn't go away in this lifespan. However, what does happen in this lifespan is it softens, you outmaneuver it, you build micro ecosystems like the containers I mentioned before. You build in ways that reconcile your codependency on the corporatist, elitist ladder connected to hope on a stick. You're not building overnight success here. You are training the field on how to collaborate with you from a state of coherence. This means you are going to be faced with small provisions that don't meet the bigger need. Yet, you have to tap into being creative, resourceful, while practicing kind patience with yourself, most of all. This is still survival, but it's the expanded version of it. In other words, the field's core survival logic doesn't change. It evolves in coherence. Precision inside distortion will always feel like pushing against gravity, which is why things change. Yet the lingering question of survival is, why does it always end in exhaustion? This is the real math. Because you're carrying the weight of your own clarity, the field's lag, the delay between what you know and what the field can render, the gap between coherence and collective survival conditioning, and the math of an architecture that uses exhaustion as a way to keep humanity going. You're not imagining this loop. This is a byproduct of the loop's observable patterns. Collapsing and complying with this particular pattern is no longer the only acceptable option at this stage in our human history. You get to practice and get better at reclaiming your time, your attention, and your creativity. Use the slowness to your advantage, not to manipulate, but to refine. Please pay attention to the two types of slowness here. The slowness that occurs when someone is willing and ready to evolve, but the body is slowly integrating itself into coherence. And the slowness that occurs when someone knows what needs to be integrated, but is willfully avoidant and energetically irresponsible. This becomes your mirror as well. You're not exempt from these types of slowness. This is what you're refining. The parts of you that you're being responsible for and the parts that you're not being responsible for. This honesty helps you stabilize and metabolize yourself in the wobbly, unpredictable resetting of the field around you. This gives you the courage to face the hardest truth here, and that is Living here isn't livable. Only your inner life is. The outer world is a survival grid. The inner world is the only place that coherence feels natural, spacious, and in real time. Once you see the field this clearly, you stop pretending the world will ever move with the same rhythm as your internal intelligence. And still, the coherence you're holding imprints the field. Not to fix it or save it or change it, but because coherence, once it's expressed, records itself in the field's sacred geometry. It becomes a permanent part of the grid's math equation, something that the cycles to come will have access to, even if this particular lifespan doesn't provide the most sustainable relief. The survival mind has you living for legacy. Your coherent mind trains you in living with clarity. And clarity leaves a mark that eventually becomes humanity's legacy. Now, the field's operating system runs on this formula: forget, survive, remember, grieve, refine, and forget again. Because the grid resets itself every time it can't metabolize coherence being held in the field. Because you are one of the ones who's seeing the math without flinching or resisting, you're no longer buying into the hope and despair stories being sold to the masses to incite this collective amnesia. It's just a form of mastery without reward, which is precisely why it feels exhausting. And this exhaustion is completely different from the hope-despair loop exhaustion. And still, your coherence is intact. That's the only part of this plane that isn't exhausted. That's it for now. If you benefited from anything shared in this video or any of the video messages, please share with someone who gets it. Reflect in the comments section below. I love reading your comments and engaging with them. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you are not already, or resubscribe if you feel aligned again. In the meantime and in between time, please be kind, be gentle with yourself, and make the best of this right now moment and the right now moments to come.